Hello, I'm Katie O'Rourke and I am an intuitive abstract painter. I work mostly in acrylics, and today I would like to share with you a technique I use to create tiny intuitive abstract paintings using acrylic paint. Let's get started. Okay, here are the colors. We're only going to be using two colors. A really simple palette here. So many people go out and they buy a ton of paint, and you don't need to. You can make really beautiful paintings with a very simple palette. Titanium white, always get the big one. I go through a lot of white, and today we are going to be using turquoise phthalo and azo gold. First thing I do is I set my palette up with lots of different values. I have my turquoise and my gold, and then I've made some mixes with them, and then I've added white to the mixes because I want some really dark colors and I want some really light colors. I like to keep track of the colors that I use, so I'm just going to do a little color palette down here to see what the colors look like when I actually apply them to the acrylic paper. This also keeps a reference for me. I'll put these palettes in my color book and I can refer to them later. End up doing a little bit of mark making. I kind of hold my pencil really loosey-goosey in my hand. I like to take it right off the page and don't really pay attention to where I'm going. Now that I've made all these shapes, different shapes and lines, I can fill them in. So I've kind of done this, a paint by number, but I created it myself. So I'm just going to fill all the different shapes in with different colors, darks to lights from what I've created. And my whole goal is just to get the paint on the paper. That can be really hard when you first start painting. So just fill it all in. My brush isn't very wet. It's a little bit dirty because I just keep dipping it in and getting a lot of paint on to see what I have. Okay, we get to this stage. Now what? Right now I've just made this. Really, I've just filled everything in. So this is when I would take, I want to take a little, well, I'm going to step away, actually. Take my eyeballs away from this for a minute. I'm going to dry it with a blow dryer, and then I'm going to come back in and I'm going to add some layers. And now I'm going to come in and I am going to layer over the top of these. So I'm using just two colors. Kind of like to leave some of that. And while this paint's wet, I can also do some like little line work through there. Ooh, and that turquoise shows up underneath. If you're gonna do this, you have to make sure to do it when the paint's still wet. If the paint dries, you're not gonna get that, you won't get that effect. This is one of my favorite parts, is to layer. So I'm putting the paint on, and then I'm going to use a tool to actually extract some of the paint. I'm using a chopstick here to take away some of the paint to show what's underneath the layer that is underneath that one. This, for me, I am really just playing, looking and responding to what's there. Now I have a pencil and I'm dragging some lines through the paint with a pencil to make different marks, and I will fill in paint where it's needed. I'm keeping my paintbrush pretty dry, not a lot of water here, and just applying more paint to see what happens as they are layered on top of one another, and it starts to create more mystery and interest. So there's one kind of, well, I don't know if it's finished or not. I'm gonna let that one sit, and then I'm gonna do the same to the rest. Sunshine in my eyes will fry, dancing on the sand, waves crash at our feet. Heat on our skin, summer's beat, surfboards in our hands, we ride the tide. Underneath the palm trees, we feel alive. Summer vibes, reaching for the sky. We're unstoppable, no need to ask why. Living in the moment, hearts full of fire. In this summer's rhythm, we never tire. Running through the fields, chasing the sun, singing our hearts out, having fun. Jumping in the pool, laughter all around. Fades of passion, our hearts are sound. Our hearts are sound. Summer vibes, reaching for the sky. We're unstoppable, no need to ask why. Living in the moment, hearts full of fire. In this summer's rhythm, we never tire. I didn't think about this, but okay, let's take this tape off and see what we have. Ooh, baby, look at that. Look at those gorgeous little babies.